For many years, traveling through much of Europe has been a wonderfully seamless experience. The Schengen Area, a zone comprising 29 European countries, has largely eliminated internal border controls. This meant you could hop on a train in Paris and ride it all the way to Amsterdam, or drive from Berlin to Rome, often without ever showing your passport at a national border. It's a system built on trust and cooperation, designed to make travel, trade, and daily life easier for millions. This freedom of movement has been a cornerstone of modern European travel, allowing us to explore diverse cultures and landscapes with remarkable ease and spontaneity. Imagine the convenience of not having to queue up for passport stamps every time you cross from one country to another. This system has truly transformed how we experience the continent. It fostered a sense of unity and made multi-country European adventures far more accessible. Think of it like traveling between states in the USA. You cross a line on a map, but there's rarely a formal checkpoint. The Schengen Agreement, first signed in 1985 in the Luxembourgish village of Schengen, has grown over the decades to include most EU members, along with a few non-EU countries like Switzerland and Norway. This interconnectedness has not only benefited tourists, but also businesses and people living in border regions, making their daily commutes and interactions much simpler and more efficient than ever before. However, friends, in 2025 we're seeing a significant shift. Several Schengen countries are temporarily bringing back internal border controls. This isn't a complete dismantling of the Schengen system, but it does mean that the era of entirely frictionless travel within these specific areas will be paused for a while. You might encounter checks where there were none before, and it's important to be prepared for this. This change is happening for various reasons, which we'll explore, but the immediate impact is that your travel plans might need a bit more foresight and flexibility. It's a reminder that the world is always changing, and as travelers, we need to adapt. So, what does this mean for you, the savvy traveler? It means that if you're planning a European adventure in 2025, you'll need to be aware of these reinstated controls. It's not a reason to cancel your trip, not at all. Europe remains as captivating as ever, but it does mean you should pack a little extra patience, keep your documents handy, and stay informed about the specific rules for the countries on your itinerary. Think of it as a temporary return to an older style of European travel, one that requires a bit more attention to the lines on the map. Knowing what to expect is the first step to a smooth and enjoyable journey. You might be wondering why these border controls are making a comeback, even temporarily. It's a fair question. The Schengen rules have always allowed for temporary reintroductions of border checks in exceptional circumstances, and in 2025 several countries are citing such circumstances. One of the primary drivers is heightened security concerns across the continent. Governments are working to address various threats, including terrorism and organized crime. By reinstating border checks, they aim to better monitor who is crossing their frontiers, enhancing their ability to prevent potential security incidents and maintain public safety for everyone, including US travelers. These measures are often described as preventative, designed to safeguard internal security. Another significant factor is the management of migration flows. Several countries are experiencing increased irregular migration, and reinstating border controls is one tool they are using to manage this situation. This can involve controlling who enters, ensuring asylum procedures are followed correctly, and combating human smuggling operations. For instance, Germany has cited high irregular migration and the strain on its asylum system as reasons for its checks. Similarly, Italy is concerned about irregular migration alongside security risks associated with large international events. It's a complex issue with many facets, and these border measures are part of a broader response. Specific major events can also trigger temporary border controls. For example, Spain is hosting the 4th UN International Conference on Financing for Development in Sevilla. To ensure the security of such a high-profile international gathering, they are temporarily reintroducing controls at various land, air, and sea borders. This is a common practice globally when countries host large summits or events that might attract security risks. Italy too mentions the Universal Jubilee of the Catholic Church as a factor contributing to its decision, anticipating a large influx of visitors and the need for heightened vigilance during this period of significant religious observance. Finally, some countries are responding to more localized or specific threats, Slovakia, for instance, has reinstated controls with Hungary and Austria due to a foot-and-mouth disease outbreak in Hungary, aiming to prevent its spread. Denmark cites fears of potential sabotage, terrorism and organized crime linked to ongoing geopolitical conflicts, highlighting a proactive stance on national security. Norway is focused on threats to its energy sector and infrastructure protection. These varied reasons show that the decision to reinstate controls is not uniform, but tailored to each nation's specific concerns and circumstances, reflecting a cautious approach in an unpredictable world. Understanding these underlying reasons can help us appreciate the context of these travel changes. Let's look at a few specific examples so you know what to expect. If your travels take you to Spain, particularly between June 27th and July 5th, 2025, be prepared. Due to the UN conference in Sevilla, controls will be active at land borders with France and Portugal, as well as at specific airports like Madrid, Barcelona and Sevilla, and even some maritime ports. This means if you're flying into these cities or crossing by land, you should anticipate potential delays for document checks. Ensure your passport or national ID is easily accessible, and if asked, be ready to show proof of your travel purpose, such as hotel bookings or event tickets. Heading to Italy, they are reinstating controls for a longer period, from June 19th to December 18th, 2025. Their focus is primarily on the land border with Slovenia. The reasons cited include combating terrorist infiltrations and managing high irregular migration alongside security for the Universal Jubilee. So if you're planning a scenic drive or a bus journey through Slovenia into Italy, expect inspections. Italian authorities advise having your passport, hotel bookings and return tickets ready. If you're visiting for religious events related to the Jubilee, having details of these might also be useful to share if questioned by border officials. Germany is another key country with reinstated controls, running from March 16th to September 15th, 2025. They are concerned about high irregular migration and migrant smuggling. These checks will primarily affect land borders with a host of neighboring countries, including France, Austria, the Czech Republic and Poland, among others. If you're traveling by road or rail across these borders, you might encounter spot checks. It's wise to have your passport, hotel reservations, and a general travel schedule handy. While not every vehicle or train will be stopped, random checks will be more frequent, so a little patience will go a long way. Further north, Denmark is also implementing controls from May 12th to November 11th, 2025. Their concerns revolve around potential Russian sabotage, terrorism, and organized crime. These checks will particularly impact land and sea borders with Germany and potentially all internal borders. So, if you're taking a ferry from Germany or driving across the land border, you can expect delays. Keep your passport, proof of accommodation, and any onward travel plans readily available. Like other countries, Denmark is focused on maintaining security, so cooperation during these checks is key to a smooth passage. These examples highlight the varied nature of the controls across the Schengen zone. So, how can you make your European adventure in 2025 as smooth as possible despite these new old formalities? The most important piece of advice is to always carry your valid travel documents. For non-EU/EEA nationals, this means your passport, and it's a good idea to ensure it has at least 6 months of validity beyond your planned stay. For EU/EEA citizens, a national ID card is often sufficient for crossing borders within the Schengen area, but a passport is always the safest bet. Keep these documents in an easily accessible place, not buried at the bottom of your suitcase, especially when approaching border areas or airports. Secondly, plan for potential delays. If you're crossing an affected border by car, bus or train, build some extra time into your schedule. Queues might form, especially during peak travel times. The same applies to airports where internal Schengen flights might now involve additional document checks before boarding or upon arrival. Don't let this stress you out. Just see it as part of the journey for now. A little extra buffer time can make all the difference between a relaxed transfer and a frantic dash. Being mentally prepared for a slightly longer wait is half the battle won. It's also a smart idea to have copies of your important documents. Keep digital copies on your phone or in a secure cloud storage, and perhaps a couple of printed photocopies tucked away separately from the original. This can be a lifesaver if your documents are lost or stolen. Additionally, for non-EU nationals, it's prudent to carry proof of accommodation, like hotel reservations, travel insurance details, and evidence of onward or return tickets. While not always asked for, having these readily available can speed things up if you are questioned by border officials about your travel plans and intentions. Finally, stay informed. The situation can change and specific requirements might be updated. Before you travel, and even during your trip, check the official government websites or embassy advisories for the countries you plan to visit. Reputable travel news sources can also provide updates. This way, you'll have the latest information on which borders are affected, the duration of the controls, and any specific documentation required. Being well informed is the hallmark of a savvy traveler. With a bit of preparation, there's no reason why these temporary controls should spoil your fantastic European experience. Happy travels.